Yo, so
What's going on?
chilling, bro. In general, like I'm not gonna lie, it's been a crazy week. It's been a hectic week, but that kind of comes around full circle in terms of what we're doing today,
Yeah.
because like everything that happened makes you think about like where you're at mentally, where you're at physically, but most importantly, mentally. Um, so if I were to ask you, like, has this week impacted your mental health? Would you, in a positive way or in a negative way, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like both at times. I think the week been up and down, man. Like there'll be times where I'm all the way up, and then there's times where I'm like all the way down. Um, and that kind of like plays into the type of music I listen to. Like I was just having a discussion the other day with my guys about the Kamala Harris, Charlemagne the God back and forth about
Yeah,
Charlemagne the God asking Kamala Harris who's the real president of the United States,
yeah,
and people look. There's like two sides to it. People looking at it from the standpoint of like, oh, why are you gonna ask her that question?
right.
But then the other side is, well, we frustrated at the bottom. We're really
Mhm.
frustrated. We're like, yo, come on, like we need these policies passed, and y'all taking forever to pass like common sense,
Right.
humane policy. So it's kind of like I get the question, I get where
Mm.
the question's coming from, but like the dynamic reactions to it is just so crazy to me. How we could look at one situation and think of two
Mm.
different, three different, four different, five different opinions on life.
Right.
What
Right.
about you?
Right.
How was your week, man? What you thought?
Son, same as you, man. Like up and down, but in those moments, like leading up to it, because I know we were supposed to start the podcast, but leading up to this moment, it just makes you think about everything, and it makes you think about how simple day to day events, a week event, a month event, and when you sit down and you really think about it, how the small amount of time to the largest amount of time can really impact your mental health. In a good way and a bad way, and that kind of brings us to where we are today and starting this podcast.
I can see it already. Like, man, I'ma buy a big house. I'ma buy a big car, big Benz. Yeah, I'ma get my mom out the crib. I'ma get my family out the crib. Like, everybody's gonna hear my name. Man. This morning I just woke up black. Race don't exist, but I woke up black. Sun in my face, I just woke up black. In this white man world, I just woke up black. This morning I just woke up black. Race don't exist, but I woke up black. Sun in my face, I just woke up black. In this white man world, I just woke up black.
Absolutely.
Getting together and wanting to start this podcast just to bring awareness to mental health. Um,
But,
so I think everything in general just ties back to well, or it should tie back into mental health, and that's why we're here today. I don't want to talk too much about the week because I want to like get into the
before we
introduction.
start even the questions, I just want to say rest in peace to my man Vic. He passed away this past week
Yeah.
of mental health, and
Mm,
we want to celebrate his life.
mm,
He was a stand-up dude. I met him in high school, like always humble. So I just
yeah.
want to also just want to shout him out before
My
we start
condolences.
today.
My condolences. My condolences, man.
Absolutely.
Oh,
But let's get into the questions. First one, man. Why are we starting this podcast for? Like, why are we doing this? That's really, I think,
so
how we want to start off.
so why start a podcast about mental health?
Yeah, why did you decide to do this with me?
I mean, it's something big that is. I want to say it's kind of always been lingering in our community, but as time goes on, you can see it escalating. Day by day, week by week, year by year, and
What do you mean by lingering, though?
like kind of always been in the background, so to speak. Um, just always been there, and people not really paying attention to it or really feeling like it's a big deal. Like, oh, my mental health is fine, or mental health is not really that much of a big deal until you start realizing that when your mental health isn't where it's supposed to be, and it's causing you to lead to destructive behavior, now you start to realize, it's something huge. And unfortunately, it's terrible that, in our communities in particular, we don't really pay attention to something until something crazy happens. You know what I mean? And then it kind of serves as a wake up call, and everyone is just like, dang, like maybe we should have paid attention to him more. And then even the individual that's going through it is like, yo, maybe I should have done this differently or that differently. So starting this podcast is just really to bring awareness to mental health, wellness, and also mental health illness, just to kind of let individuals know I need to really pay attention to it and not ignore it or just say I'm fine and sweep it under the rug. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
How about you? What you think?
I think that
Or why
I
start a podcast
started,
about
yeah,
mental?
yeah. I feel like I wanted to start it for like 3 reasons. One, because as human beings, I always feel like we owe it to the next generation to pass on knowledge. Trying to find a word for it, but like just pass on knowledge and pass on information, pass on legacy. That's what previous generations did. We wouldn't be like we take a lot of things for granted, like the couch that we sit on, or the TV that we watch, or the car that we drive. Those things were passed on by people before us, and it's just always to make the next generation better. So I feel like doing this podcast, especially for the next generation of Black men, so that they don't feel that it's seen as weak to share, is to talk about how you feel, what you're going through. Another reason why I think it's important for us to do this is because we're both educators. We both went to school. We both took the school route. We both were into books. I was super into history. I'm still into history. You educated middle school students, so it's important for us because we teach the next generation, and our fingerprints are on the next generation. It's important for us to like address things that we see in the classroom, and like we teach Black kids, we teach kids that come from our community, and we notice the mental health illnesses that they go through because it's similar to our mental health illnesses that we went through when we were kids. And we're more educated, so we know like, oh snap, I see that sign. Yeah, that might be you might label it a learning disability, but we might be labeling it like, yo, he probably has a lot on his mind because a lot of things are going on at home. Or he's probably not, or he probably is hungry, or he's probably trying to act out because he doesn't have the latest clothes, or I know for me growing up, so holes in my socks and stuff like that. Like just mental stuff that you go through when you're poor and and you want people's affirmation.
Definitely. So teaching, very important. So teaching the next generation, and just leaving our fingerprint on them so that they can do better. So what would you say per se, like side question, what would you say is one of the, I mean, of course there's different avenues, but if you had to pick one, what would you say is the number one, or I guess one important thing that we can leave with them about mental health?
That you did go through trauma when you were little. Being Black in America is the greatest. It's like, I don't want to say the greatest, but I would say it's one of the traumatic social experiences. Out of all the groups, because of slavery, because of Jim Crow, because of civil rights movement, because of mass incarceration, because of the crack era, because of the police genocide, police brutality, whatever you want to call it. Like, we're going through this, and it's not normal. And human beings going through traumatic experiences are gonna have ripple effects later on in their lives. Like, people don't just develop mental health issues later in their lives and like because of the situation. People develop mental health illness either because of their fathers, their forefathers, or the environment that they were born into.
Got you. So basically, letting them know that it's okay for them to feel what it is that they feeling. And
It's
then,
okay for them to feel that what they're feeling,
yeah,
and it's okay for them to seek help and
got
to
you.
speak about their feelings,
Got you.
and just to make, and when we know, when we're better educated on our issues, we start to make better decisions. I
Mm,
feel like in our community, we're not making that. We're not making good decisions at all. We're not making high percentage decisions, like
right.
high successful percentage decisions. We're making
Right.
a lot of low percentage decisions, because we're just following our peers. Because
Right.
peers don't know better, because there's no overhead to show them, like, listen, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. This is what
Mm-hmm.
you should be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Right. Right.
I know a lot of people um, who took different routes other than education
Mm,
will tell the next generation, yo, stay in school.
right.
You know what I mean? Because I remember when I was going to school, and you could attest to this too. Uh, we both were, while we walking to school, somebody that looked like us told us, "Hey, stay in school. How's your
Mm,
grades and stuff like that?"
yeah.
How you feel
Yeah.
about that?
Now that's definitely. Now I definitely could connect with that because I definitely experienced that, and I definitely think that what you said, allowing them to speak into the next generation and letting them know that it's okay to feel that, and most importantly, it's okay to seek help. I
Mhm.
definitely think that is two major things that it's important to leave with them, because a lot of them, a lot of us feeling what we feel, don't feel like it's okay for us to feel that, and most importantly, like you said, we don't seek the help, and we suffer in silence until we ultimately self-destruct. So I definitely think that those two components are like heavy and important. So it's definitely powerful that you said that. To sort of backtrack, when we started the podcast earlier, we were talking about just how our weeks went and seeing how our weeks led to us at the end of it having, um, I guess, being in a positive state of mind or even a negative state of mind. But of course, that's just connecting that to mental health on a minute level. So, on an overall, like, grander scale, what would you say is the cause of mental health illness within our community?
I think it's two things, man. Racism and poverty. But I feel like the first thing is racism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, our skin color.
Yeah.
We were born. I was born in '95. Racism was before me.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in a society that was already racist. That already told me that I was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you put the fact that you're born in poverty, which is already could cause psychological issues, but then you're told that you're nothing. So then your
Right.
whole life you're trying to fight this mental battle of, like, yo, am I really a human being? And on top of that, the media is like pushing this. Oh, nah, you're a criminal. Oh, nah.
Yeah.
Oh, nah, like you getting shot down by the police because you're a dog. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
nah, you getting bad water because of your skin color. Like, we're not getting the same finances. So it's a combination of racism and poverty. Poverty, because you know what it's like, because in the hood everybody is poor, but there's different levels of poverty.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you could
Yeah.
have one person that could afford the Jordans, and then another person that be like, "Oh, nah, I got it.
Right.
Parents only could afford Payless, and because
Right.
you only could afford Payless, you getting clowned at school."
Right.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
remember in our class, we used to joke on each other,
Mm-hmm.
and my joke was two jokes. It was a radio station, because my dad worked at the radio station.
Yeah.
He was like this famous Haitian radio station speaker, and
Yeah.
then we got orange juice, because they said that I bought clothes off of Orange Juice, which is like a clothing store on Nostrand. So they were getting on me, and then eventually, like, at first I was tight, like, oh, this dude's getting on me about stuff that I can't control. You know?
Right.
But even though I didn't shop at Orange Juice, but they swear I did. But like, even though, like, I can't control where my mom's income, like, I
Right.
can't
Right.
control none of that stuff. But why make fun of somebody because of that? It's just poor kids. They wanna have their ego stroke. Everybody want to have their ego stroke. You know what I mean? Everybody want to know like they're better than somebody else. That's what the concept of racism. Racism is just like, it's basically bullying, but racial bullying.
Right.
So I think the going back to your question is, what is the cause of mental health illness in our community? Is definitely racism and poverty. What about you? What you think?
Definitely gave some major points. If I definitely a bunch of ways you could slice it, but just to put it in an overall idea, I think just to sum it up in one, I think stress, man. Like I think it's stress, like you said. And your 2 points, racism and poverty, ultimately connects to stress. You know what I'm saying? When you getting bullied, like you mentioned earlier, in school, and people, your peers making fun of you because of things you can't afford and things like that, whether subconsciously or consciously, whether you're aware of it or not aware of it, is going to lead to a level of stress. You know what I'm saying? And then when it leads to different things like OCD, like now you're constantly thinking about this. Okay, I'm afraid to go to school the next day because I don't know if these individuals going to continue to joke on me, make fun of me, and then it just leads to that constant state of stress. Obviously, is going to start to impact your mental health. And I think stress definitely leads to that mental health illness, because you're not in a positive state of mind if you're constantly worried about something, if you're constantly stressed out about something. And it could connect to different things, like you said, being stressed out about poverty. Then if you can't afford certain things, now you're stressed out about clothes, stressed out about, can you afford to pay rent? And a lot of kids feel their parents' stress. You know what I'm saying? At such a young age, they bear that. They see their parents struggling to do certain things. They may not say nothing, but subconsciously it affects them, impacts them. Now they, inherit that stress, and then it starts to weigh on their mental state. So, just to sum it all, I think just stress, man. Us being in a constant state of stress, a constant state of worry, I think over time it definitely starts to weigh down on our mental health, and it catches up with us.
I could definitely attest to that too, man. Like, there's times where, like, when you growing up and you poor, and like you go to school real hungry, and you go to the corner store. A lot of times I went to the corner store, and I know a lot of peers that I went around, peers that I grew up with, had the same mindset, because that's actually where I got it from. I actually saw one of my dudes stealing from the store, and I was like, "Oh snap, we could just do that." And you, at the moment, you're not thinking like, "Oh, this is wrong." You're thinking like, "Yo, I'm already." There's times I went to a store and I already thought like, "Yo, I'm gonna steal. I'm not gonna pay for nothing. I'm gonna steal." Right. So I go in the store and I steal and I come out. I'm successful. I'm like, oh snap, I could do that. But there's also stress when you're about to steal too, because you don't want to get caught. Because if you get caught, you either the police is gonna come for you, or you go to juke. You back then you don't know what crime constitutes, but you don't know what's gonna happen. So you just do it just to do it, and then after a while, it just becomes, oh, I got away with one. I go ahead and continue that cycle. So it's also stress when you're going home, like as a teenager, because you either stress about like, yo, am I gonna get robbed? I just saw on the news that somebody got robbed in my area, or somebody got shot in my area. Like, oh, drive-by shooting. Am I gonna get shot when I'm walking down? So a lot of these things, of course, are like stereotypical in our community, but those things actually happen because our peers are making bad choices based off their conditions. Right. Because a lot of people say that poverty is the mother of crime, which I agree with. I do believe that poverty has something to do with crime. Yeah. So that's why I think that we need to have these conversations, because a lot of times the media just portrays us as us just doing wild stuff, and it's and it just came out, and we just came out the belly doing wild stuff. Like we just came out our mom's womb, and we just bugging out. Like, and I like there was one concept that I saw in a documentary that said, "Listen, we were made in America, man.
Right.
We were made in the country."
Right.
But what does it tell us about the country if we're coming out our wombs and we're doing all this extra stuff? And they know that, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But how do you think our perception, like our community's perception of mental health, shapes people that actually are going through mental health issues?
I think right now this is a powerful question. I think right now I think we're starting to slowly pay more attention to it, but I think overall we need more people to pay attention to it. I think our perception for a long time of mental health has just been to, sweep it under the rug and, pretend like it doesn't exist, especially when it comes to, I'm going to talk about men because, that's what we are, especially when it comes to men.
I'm going to make this clear. We cannot talk about anybody else but us. And we can't talk about no other groups. White people go through poverty too. Every other group go to poverty too, but we could only talk about us as men in this podcast. We definitely gonna have some black female speakers though. But go ahead.
Nah, you good. But I think that the overall perception for a long time has been, I don't want to say kind of like a mixture between non-existent and just, downplaying it. You know what I mean? Like if you're a man and don't worry about mental health. Don't worry about how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
suck it up.
Say again?
Suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up. Man up. And I feel like that never really made sense in general as a whole. It's like, man up because I'm expressing something. It's just like, wait, so I'm not a man if I talk about it. You know what I mean? Sort of like this contradiction in our community of what it means to be a man. And I feel like for a long time that has followed us since we were young into our communities, and it has led to negativity. We're not talking about our feelings, we're not talking about our emotions, we're not expressing it, and therefore we're not dealing with it, and our mental health isn't getting better. So I feel like as a whole, our perception of mental health illness and mental health wellness has kind of just been like non-existent, and as a result has led to a lot of us partaking in destructive behavior, which has led to negativity in our lives.
Absolutely. Yo, I was thinking about something when you just said that. And you know me, I be forgetting exactly what I be
got too much things on your mind, bro.
And then you say something and I be forgetting what I'm about to say. Damn.
You got too much. Yeah. You got too much on your mind, bro. It's a genius.
I got it. Boo boo, I got it. Do you think that our normalizing of racism made us think that we gotta man up? Because I feel like because we've been going through racism for so long, I think at times we just be like fed up, like F it, like you might as well just man up. Like we're gonna go through it anyway. We know we about to get lynched, we know we about to get beat up by the police, we know we're gonna be broke. Like just man up about it and do what we got to do. I feel like that's the thought that passed down to generation and generation in our community just because of racism.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's a powerful question and a powerful notion. Definitely, a lot of people like to say, in the individuals like forget. Like a lot of people like to talk about certain things that's happening now. It's a historical fact, and just be like, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, like it's not about forget about it. And this is the reason why these issues still remain and these issues still run rampant in our communities, because people want to talk about, forget about it. It's crazy. I don't want to touch too much on it, but now talking about removing certain things out of the history books now when we teach our students. It's like, nah, don't remove it. It's like if you did something wrong, deal with it. Don't tell an individual to forget about it or downplay it. This is the reason why we're not healing, and this is the reason why our mental health is still deteriorating, because it's like instead of dealing with the problem, we're trying to sweep it under the rug, and that doesn't lead to healing. You know what I mean? You can't forget about something that an atrocity or something heavy that's happened to you, and the way to deal with it is, or I'm gonna just pretend like it didn't happen. That doesn't make no sense. You know what I mean?
Yo, that's crazy because Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan, is like the head of like the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Second to Elijah Muhammad. Same group with Malcolm X. They like to separate Malcolm X with Louis Farrakhan, but he said in one of his speeches, he was like, if you step on somebody's feet, right?
Yeah.
You could just be like, yo, I apologize for that.
Right.
Like, my bad. I stepped on your feet. My bad.
Yeah.
But let's just say you walking down the street and you got a hot coffee in your hand and you accidentally spill it on somebody.
Right.
Is an apology the only is an apology accepted at that time?
I think. Dang, that's an interesting analogy.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So the reason why I'm tying that back is like I'm trying to say like, yo, like, yeah, they number one, I don't even think we got an apology yet for slavery, but when you talk about them taking it out the textbook, it's kind of like you're not even acknowledging the fact that you threw coffee on ourselves,
right?
Let alone us having a conversation of what is a sufficient apology for doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you got to acknowledge it first, and then we could talk about like, let's talk about terms of apology and like, you know, compensation after.
Like, to add on to that, I also think a component of kids will say it nowadays, or maybe some people even say it, it's like, quote unquote, there's levels to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like with the analogy that you gave earlier, stepping on your shoes, for example, I could just apologize in that moment because they may not be, it's not like that bad. There may not be nothing I can do at that moment. But then to the example that you use later, if I spill coffee on you, now that's a different level. I can apologize, and also I could help you clean up. I could go get some tissue. I could do more. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a component of like there being levels to it also needs to be added on. But initially, it still needs to be acknowledged. Both aspects need to be acknowledged. And I feel like the problem is we aren't acknowledging it, or people aren't trying to acknowledge it. They're saying, "Yo, that's so."
People aren't acknowledging. You just say America is not acknowledging it. Yeah, man.
I'm trying to be.
You know, this is the point. We gotta stop being like we can't be politically correct if it's just wrong. Like,
right.
It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Like I have to read history and be disgusted about history for me to be like, yo, like you can't acknowledge. You acknowledge everything else.
Right.
You acknowledge the Japanese internment camps. You acknowledge the Holocaust. You acknowledge the Native American struggle, the Native American genocide, but we can't get a full acknowledgement about slavery. Now they're telling us that we got to take it out of our textbook, which again goes back to the mental health conversation. Like, yo, like what we're not being valued enough in this country because no matter what they say, it's like we know we kind of like participated in building this country.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We like there was conversations after we got emancipated about moving us to Africa, and in my mind, like why the hell would we move back to Africa when our ancestors built something and didn't get paid for it?
Exactly.
We built this. If anything, we might as well. If we built it, we got to get compensation for it.
Right.
Why would we give up like our ancestors getting burned, lynched, death, and all that other stuff, and then move to a different country and forget what we built here? Like what our ancestors, that's our ancestors' legacy.
Right.
The only history we know is that our slavery.
All right,
so fast. I mean, you know.
Nah. Slow down. You see, this is the history teacher in you coming out like.
You're right. You know,
but nah. I'm gonna slow down a little because you said so much, and I just wanna a little bit.
You know, I go on a little tangent.
Yeah, I feel you, but I want to hold on to a lot of things that you said because you definitely gave a lot of good points, but most importantly, you gave a lot of analogies and examples. So it brings me to something that came up in mind. So it's like because you gave examples and analogies, what would you say like what are some examples in our communities that lead to mental health illness? What would you say?
Like, I think our decisions and who we date with could lead to mental health illness. Like in
You
terms
said
of
date, like intimacy,
who we come together with, like
intimacy, like boy, girl, stuff like that, like
yeah,
relationships.
like marriage,
Okay.
like, you know, birds and bees and stuff. Like, why do I say that? It's kind of like you go and you date somebody that from same condition as you, same poverty condition, same stress, same low income, like that could go into how the child is raised, because raised in a situation that both parents are not like educated and don't have the financial means to take care of that child. So the continual process of that could lead into like bad dating in general. The continually bad dating and bad decisions could lead into mental health issues in our community. That's one. Another one would be just the hate. You know what I mean? The hate. Just can't be happy for one another. Type of thing. Like I could be like, my friend could be successful, but I'm gonna be envious of him when he becomes successful, or I'm gonna shoot him. Like we see right now in our cultures, all these rappers getting shot and getting stabbed, like in their own neighborhoods. Like, anybody that makes it out of our neighborhoods is like a beacon of light, because it tells us like, yo, we could do it too.
Right.
That person should be shot down. Now that's mental health illness is on me and you, because now it's like, yo, like if we were to make it, like, are we gonna get shot down? Could we go back to our community and help out? Like, that's a mental health illness right there, that we are like deliberately shooting or killing people that are successful, that made it out of our area, where we thought, because there were times where we thought that our area was the only place that we're gonna grow up in.
Right.
What do you think?
That's a fact. Wait. What you mentioned, like hate towards like others' success. Do you think self-hate has anything to do with that?
Of course. You know what I mean? We were told over and over and over for generations and generations and generations that we were like nothing. Like we were spirit, we were animals.
Right.
And then just like, you know, us, we like to turn bad stuff into positive things. Just look how we use the N-word, you know what I mean?
Right.
Look how we use the B word in our culture, like the N-word and the B word in our culture. Like we flip negative things and turn it into like positive things. So I definitely think that like, yo, we should, like, the hate and the self-hate coming from the stigma of racism, like your racism told us over and over and over again that you were worth nothing and you are nothing. And then it was continually like programmed to us through the media. You know what I mean? So now we have anxiety.
Definitely
running high. I mean? I have crazy anxiety. Do you have crazy anxiety?
Yeah. What's up, black man? How's paranoia, man?
Yeah, we paranoid as hell. We paranoid about what people think about us. We paranoid if we're good enough. We're paranoid, like about everything. We're paranoid, anxiety on crazy, scared as hell. Why? Because we grew up in areas where we were told like, yo, you're not about to make it out of here at 25. You know what I mean? Like, you're not that smart.
Right.
And when we get to an area where we're like, oh, we're there and we accomplished all we accomplished. Now when we get to the mountaintop, people are telling us now, well, like, how did you get here?
Right.
You know what I mean? So now every step of your life, you're like being told like, wait, you're not supposed to be here, and you're not gonna be there.
Right.
So that's how I feel like self-hatred has developed into the point where now we're like flipping it on our own people. Like, yo, then how he get that?
Right.
That's that. I'm about to kill him now.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna hate on him. You know what I mean?
Crazy. Yeah, I definitely. I agree with that.
That's just what it is. It's everything tied back to racism. So it's like, and we got like that's a whole different topic.
Right. Definitely.
So
I think for me
Yeah.
personally, if I would answer that, um I think it's a to encapsulate it more for me. I think it's like an environment. It's like a and to connect it to what you were saying, it's an environmental thing, but also like you said, how we try to turn something negative into a positive. I feel like only a hand, like a selected hand few of us can do that or try to do that. A lot of us fall into the mindset like I'm going to be a product of my environment. And I think that train of thought definitely leads to, mental health illness, or a form of it, seeing negativity around us and just kind of having that mentality, like you said, this is all we know. So this is all I'm going to do. This is all I'm going to become. You know what I mean? Instead of seeing that and being like, nah, I'm not going to do that because this is where this led to my man's getting locked up, my man's getting killed. I don't want that for myself. I want something better. So I feel like us just fitting into that mold of I'm gonna be a product of my environment, even if we know that environment is negative and it's gonna lead to negative and destructive behavior. Instead of turning away from that, embracing that, I think that is a major part of it. You gave an example about dating earlier. It's like growing up in a broken home and you seeing, which a lot of us grow up in, and we see, destructive, like our parents in destructive, toxic relationship. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, you know what, I want something different. I'm gonna find somebody that is gonna give me different. We find somebody and we basically replicate our parents. And we do the same thing. And then we just keep that negativity of hurt people going. So I think just our environment and us not being able to be like, you know what, this is not it. I got to turn away from it. I think that's a major part of that leads to like, our, mental health decline.
To add on to what you were saying, because you were saying a lot of great things. I was just telling you this week about how toxic we are. Like I could listen to the same music, the same rap music and hip hop music, and be like motivated and grind and that kind of like pushed me through middle school, high school, and then college. And now that I'm a professional, I'm an educator. Like listen to hip hop the whole way, hip hop and R&B the whole way.
The
same music that talks about guns and all types of stuff, and then somebody else could use it. Somebody else could listen to the same thing and drive around it to just actually shoot somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's how toxic our culture is. Like it's in our music. Like the toxicity is in our music.
Right.
So, but I got a question though. You was bringing up a lot of great things. What do you think? What in our environment do you think shapes our behavior?
What in our environment shapes our behavior?
What do you think? Because you're an educator, you in the schools, you dealt with kids. Like, what do you think is shaping these kids' behaviors in the classrooms and all that other stuff?
Right now, I think it's two major things. One of them you touched base on. You said you was just talking about it. Music. A lot of kids listen to the music that they're pumping right now, and unfortunately, like not to take no shot at rappers, but it's not really that much deep rappers out there. That's like,
I think you just not listening.
Wait.
Go ahead.
There's not that much deep rappers out there that's actually, I think, breathing like a positive message in life into the youth. Give me right now, and so you said something right now, right? You said something interesting. So here, name 3 top rappers right now. Mainstream.
I can't name you 3 mainstream. I can name you 1.
And that's my point. My point is that's my point. My point is the rappers that are actually speaking positivity. For example, one of my favorites right now is Cole. I think Cole is definitely, speaking life into our youth. But look how long, like, I don't want to sidetrack too much, but look how they do Cole's music. Cole's, some people consider Cole underground.
I mean, I think more younger generation. That's true because I teach a lot of high school kids. They know Cole's nice, but they're not listening to him because they're listening to like the newer rappers.
And that's what I'm saying. And the newer rappers, the one that are mainstream, they're not really spending positive messages. It's all about the money, which leads into my next thing, the money. So now they watching these rappers, and these rappers is talking about negativity, and they flaunting all these fast jewels and these jewels and money and women in the videos. Now in their minds, they're like, "Yo, I gotta be like this person in order to get the things that he has, so I could floss." You know what I'm saying? And if this person is not really rapping about anything positive, it's just like, you know, kids' minds are malleable. You know what I mean? It's just like,
man, especially if you got nothing, and the only person that you see have something,
right,
have some form of the clout or like power, are people that are rappers and athletes. So of course, yeah, you're gonna aspire to do those things.
Right. That's the answer to my question. I think right now, rap is one of the biggest things that is leading to, you know, that molding of that mindset within the youth. That's a good question.
But the crazy thing about it is, because there wasn't rap in the 60s. Rap came in the 80s, really in the 80s, like late 70s. And the reason why rappers started to rap about drugs and violence is because that's what they were doing in their communities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like,
so they were rapping about what they were experiencing.
Yeah, they were talking about what they were experiencing. They were talking about selling dope. They were talking about going and shooting somebody because that's what they were actually doing. Because the only job that was available was McDonald's. Like, I don't know if you remember those Calvin commercials. I don't think we were born when those Calvin commercials came out, but Dave Chappelle did like a remake of that.
Nah.
Dave Chappelle did a remake of the Calvin commercial, the Calvin with the work at McDonald's.
I know he did a remake of that, but I don't know like the original concept.
Oh no, I don't remember the original concept. I don't think we were born at that time.
Nah. We late 90s, baby.
Proud 95 babies, man. We don't want to get older. But I think Dave Chappelle did a whole remake on the commercial. I believe it was in the 80s about Calvin going to McDonald's, and at that time you were making like $3, $2 at McDonald's an hour.
Right.
But you was making $10,000 on the corner.
Right.
And the police wasn't bothering you on the corner when you were selling your drugs. Like, it was open. It was a free market. There was a bunch of millionaires around that time. So like it was easy. It was more appealing to be a drug dealer than to be an educator, than to be a doctor, than to be you know what I mean, a person that works an honest 9 to 5 making a decent living.
Right. It's all about the money.
It's all about the money, man. I mean, I tell the kids all the time, like, you're getting your education because you want to set yourself up for a good future. Like, yeah, getting your education is important, but you also want to prepare yourself to like have a decent life, see the world, and not make bad decisions to make you go on an uphill climb throughout life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because everybody has to find, like, there's no criminal that starts young and then ends up 80 years old still being a criminal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they all go to jail.
Yeah.
Especially for our community, they all go to jail. So it's like, at some point, you're gonna have to get an honest job.
Right.
Some type of way of surviving in this society, being black. And we just know that because we actually have people who've been through the criminal justice system, who served time and had to come out of prison and like find new beginnings. So, but we gotta close out, man. We're going deep into this.
I feel you. If you gotta say some rest for next week, man, save it for next week.
That's what I'm saying. We about to give the whole thing out, but we're gonna figure it out. But last question, what do you think is the ultimate goal of this podcast for you?
For me, definitely, I think the ultimate goal for this is just to bring awareness to mental health illness. Not to say that there isn't awareness now, because like I mentioned earlier, I feel like people are definitely paying attention to it more, but just there's more people talking about it, more people opening up these spaces, then more people will, be inclined to talk about certain things, talk about experiences, even you and me both, and get that healing. Because I personally believe that we never stop healing and never stop evolving as human beings. And the start to healing is acknowledging the hurt. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledging what the baggage that we've been carrying on for our whole lives. So I think definitely the goal of this podcast is just to bring a little bit more awareness to mental health illness, mental health wellness, get more men in these spaces to talk about it, and hopefully learn more things about themselves and find self-healing to progress towards just being a better version of themselves. How about you?
Couple things.
Your overall goal of this, because you spearheading this project, so I want to know what's
we spearheading this project, man. No, it's a community project.
that's true. That's true.
The community put this on us.
Definitely want to know your overall goal, though, man. The man, the myth, the legend himself.
There you go, man. Why you always gaslighting me, man? Get out of here. Nah, sympathy and empathy. I think those two things lead to progression in history overall. If you look at the civil rights movement, you look at slavery itself. It was just people that said like, "Yo, this is wrong,"
right?
And we need more people to look at our situation that's going on in our community and say, "Oh, this is wrong. We need to do something about it." Another thing is just increase funding. Like, bro, you go to the dispensary and pay 100, 120, 150 for a lot of weed, but to get an actual therapist it costs a little bit more or just as much. And a lot of us, we would pick the weed over paying to go see somebody and talking to somebody. So it's like making therapy more affordable. Which, like you said, just building on what you said, if we raise awareness, hopefully people will be like, okay, maybe we need to allocate more resources to mental health,
right?
Especially in Black and brown communities, because we kind of like help build the country,
right?
But and we need some help because a lot of people benefiting from their ancestors and also our ancestors. We humans benefit from other humans. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And just more information in our community, like more knowledge in our community.
Right.
I just use the same word, but just more knowledge in our community so that we can make better decisions. Because I feel like the only reason why we're stuck in this predicament is because, and the predicament I'm talking about is poverty, is because we're not making good decisions. And that's everybody.
Right.
That's me, you. That's people back where we from Flatbush, Compton, Miami, everywhere. We're not making good decisions, and we're making decisions that are affecting other people's lives.
Right.
Which is wrong. Like I shouldn't be. My decisions should not affect somebody else's life, and that's what's going on in our community. We're making decisions that are impacting other individuals. And the last thing is just give more voices to like men of color to express how we feel. I think that it feels, especially when you go up the ladder in corporate America or in general, as an athlete or as an entertainer, they kind of like want to silence your voice and make it seem like your voice is not important.
Right.
I didn't just sit in the same classroom with every other race and got the same A that they got. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? You went to school, I went to school. I know a lot of people that went to school, but it still feels like, yo, you Black, shut up.
Yeah.
So
we don't want to hear about your plight. Right.
exactly. Or like slavery is a taboo subject. How slavery is a taboo subject when that's our history. That's the only history we know, but it's a taboo subject. So
yo, you always saying things that like right now, like you always saying stuff that just it raises mad questions, a lot of questions, excuse me, it raises questions for me, but I know like we've got to close out. We got to close out, so I'm gonna remember those, and I'm gonna try to ask you next time.
I got a lot of questions too. I think this was like a first episode was totally successful.
Yeah. So just to close out,
on this journey.
Yeah. So just to close out, so essentially, guys that view this later after this is just the introduction to Black Men Talk Therapy, episode 1. And essentially,
50 minutes is introduction. We was talking a lot of shit.
So essentially, this is what the platform is going to look like. Just us talking and building about certain things that have happened to us that has impacted our mental health, and where we are today, and trying to have guests come on and talk about their experiences and also their mental health, wellness, and illness, and how just opening up this platform so that when they come and they talk about it, hopefully it can lead to a healing process and it can lead to them being better versions of themselves. Hopefully the people that come and watch this after take something from it. We're going to keep on progressing. Just keep rocking with us, and
yo
over time.
Like, share, comment. I don't care if it's a good comment, it's a bad comment. We might even play your comment on the show and talk about your comment or talk about any feedback. We want to do that. We definitely want to open this conversation up to everybody, because we want to make this a human issue, just not a Black issue. It's a human being issue. There's a set of human beings right now that is getting mistreated in America, and if we allow this mistreatment to continue to happen, then we allow every mistreatment to happen. That's why I love when Martin Luther King says, "Yo, if you allow crimes," what did he say? I forgot what he said. What's the exact quote? They're gonna punish me for this.
This dude said,
"If there's a injustice, if there's a justice here, there's an injustice everywhere." So I just feel like there's an injustice that's being happening in our community, and we need to talk about it.
Definitely. All right. So with that being said, until next time, family, peace, prosperity, and power.
Love, enjoy.